We mentioned earlier about Mikel Arteta and his legacy. Enzo Maresca has made a brilliant start to his campaign at Chelsea. I've said to you over and over again that they're not going to win the league. There's too far to go. They're not going to stay consistent. There's a few flaws in that squad. Goalkeeper is one of them. Defence is not settled for me. But they are playing well and they are putting points on the board. And they are Liverpool's closest challenger as we reach Christmas.
They go top, don't they? Before Liverpool play this weekend, if they win?
Well, it's possible. Yeah, they have to win the game.
Everton at home?
Everton at home.
They'll win that.
Yeah.
So they can't go top the final weekend before Christmas, and you lot tell us they're not in the title race.
Well, it's Goodison Park, so it's a difficult.
It is at Goodison, is it?
Goodison,
okay.
Yeah, so it's a difficult game. So and Chelsea have lost there before, but also look, they may not win. They may go top, and even if they do, Liverpool will be expected to recapture that. And Liverpool have got a game in hand as well.
Yeah, they have.
Chelsea are very good at beating the teams they're expected to beat, and I think they've done that well this season. When it's come to the big games against the top teams, they have just maybe fallen short a little bit. We saw that on the opening day of the season against Manchester City. Both of us were there for that one. We've seen that against Liverpool. And we've seen it against Arsenal as well. In fact, if you go back and look at the teams that they've lost to over the last 6 months, actually they've been very good for probably a year now. Then the teams that they have not beat or failed or have fouled against have been those more superior teams that you would class in the league.
And I guess the concern would be if it gets to the business end of the season and they're still there or thereabouts, then Liverpool have that experience, don't they? Whereas Chelsea still they're a young team.
Yes, they do have a lot of experience, and although it is a new manager, it's a very similar set of players to last year, the season before. It's been the team that's gone through Champions League finals, a team that's won. Some of the members of the team have won the Premier League. There is a lot more experience in that team than there is at Chelsea. And I do expect Arsenal to come good in the second half of the season as well.
But they have spent £1 billion, your owners, so that they should be being talked about as title contenders.
By the way, 90 million of that went on Mykhailo Mudryk. So they've had their failures with their recruitment as well as some of successes. You know, they spent a lot of money on players that aren't even at the club anymore. I mean, Petrovic they bought and they've loaned him out. He's down at Strasbourg when they used him for much of last season. So there's a lot of players that have come into the club. They've paid a lot of money for. It hasn't worked out. Sterling, they've spent money on, gave him high wages. He's now at Arsenal. So it hasn't been perfect. And all of that sort of disruption in the first 2 years obviously has generated now a squad because a manager has been given license, a bit like Arteta, to cut the ones that he doesn't want and keep the ones that he does. He's decided on that group. He's got his group now, and he is making it work the best he can. He's had the luxury of keeping players happy by playing them in the B team on a Thursday and then having his first team on the weekend. But there's a lot of young players that are coming through as well. You know, Josh Ashiapong is very well thought of, signed a new contract this week. You know, Mark
played last night,
who you saw score a hat-trick last night. Mark Gale is not going to be a Chelsea first team Premier League regular that's going to steer them to the title this season, next season, or maybe in the season afterwards. But he's getting valuable experience playing in the Conference League and playing in the Chelsea system.
Just on Chelsea in the Conference League, I was speaking to Tom Rennie of talkSPORT International at the party the other night. The Conference League isn't really built for Chelsea, is it? It's for teams who don't play regularly in Europe. And when you're beating a team like Shamrock 5-1, it was a brilliant night out for those players and those fans. But I mean, Chelsea are going to win this competition at a canter. Fiorentina probably the only team who can get near them. You don't know they're going to win it at canter. There's every chance that they can. They should be winning it. But what do you actually get out of it, other than adding another European trophy? It's pointless for Chelsea.
Mate, we might help Manchester United get into European football next year by getting another place in Europe because we're already qualifying the Champions League.
United are going to win the Europa League, so that's not a problem.
United are going to win the Europa League?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. But you get my point. I mean, what do those Chelsea players learn from it, really? Fair enough in the case of Guiu because he's a teenager.
What are you talking about?
Nkunku's the top scorer.
What would they be doing if they weren't in the Conference League? What would they be doing? They would be playing week in, week out. They won't be playing competitive football. They're keeping themselves sharp if they're needed in the first team. It's a great competition for them. I don't think
Kiernan Dewsbury Hall joined Chelsea to play Shamrock Rovers.
Didn't Pedro Neto play his way into the first team by playing that competition?
I don't think Kieran Dewsbury Hall's going to manage that.
You never know. What if there's an injury?
But you
Then
take
he's
on board
primed
my
and
point.
ready to
The
go
whole
there.
idea of the Conference League was to
come
give
off it.
teams like West Ham a brilliant night out in Prague, not for Chelsea to win it with their B
Okay,
team.
but if you're in, we haven't been in a European final for a long time. It's been at least 3 years since we won the Champions League.
If you were in the Champions League this season, you would be one of the main contenders. So it's embarrassing that you're playing in the Conference League.
You don't know that. Where have you got that from?
Because
How
you're
can you all of a
second in the
sudden-
league. You go
you've
top
gone from
ahead of
Chelsea-
Liverpool if you win
Chelsea
this
being
weekend.
lucky to get into the top 4. You've switched the narrative, so now they're expected to win the title. This is the problem. You should have a short-term expectation. Jack from Sheppey has texted. This is the last thing we'll do today before we go.
You're going to
for
say something
Christmas.
nice.
He says, "Morning, Sam and Alex. Can I just say I'm a big fan of Alex Crook. I know he gets a lot of stick, but he's straight talking, good sense of humour, and never seems to have a day off. Keep it up, Alex." From Jack in Sheppey.
He makes great points.
There you go.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.